Officially called. We're calling time of death 11:12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Public option, murdered. R.I.P. 187 on a public option. The Senate, as we have found out, of course, jettisoned the public option from their final version, and whether that final version passes is a different question. We'll get to that in a little bit. But when they asked Nancy Pelosi about it, she said, "Oh, did I say public option? Well, it depends." Before it was, "Oh, no, without a public option, not going to pass the House. Not going to happen. Don't even think about it." And, of course, now that it's happened, she's thinking about it. Of course. And she said at a news conference, yeah, well, look, we wanted to achieve the objective of the public option, which is cost containment, and yet provide a choice for everybody else that can sign on to this rather than private insurance. And if we achieve that objective in other means, la, 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 in other words, I'm calling it. 11:12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's over. So now, and look, the bottom line is she might be right. I'm very open to that suggestion, okay, because she's certainly right in saying that the ultimate goal is cost containment and choice, right? So we want to be able to have something we can go to that's definitely going to cover us, as the current health care bill does, does a very good job of addressing that issue. Does everybody get covered? You won't be able to be, kicked out for pre-existing conditions, et cetera. So that part was already a very good part of this bill. And then are we going to be able to lower the premiums? And that's very much an open question. But going into the details, we'll see if that's the case or not. So, I just want to clarify a little bit what's in the plan. As the days go on, we find out a little more and a little more. Now, of course, this is still secret because they sent it to the Congressional Budget Office to get rated, and they don't want it out. But we have reports on some of the things that are in there. Some we've already described to you. The people eligible for Medicaid gets bumped up to significantly over the poverty line. One report has it at 300% above the poverty line for Medicaid, people qualifying for Medicaid. Medicare gets bumped down from 65 to 55. But in that range, you can buy into Medicare. And they're saying that the problem is that that's good, and everybody's fairly happy with Medicare coverage for the people who do have Medicare. The issue is cost, because they're saying that it might cost in the ballpark of about $7,600 a year for that kind of coverage. Now, that's not cheap. So we'll see, how people react to that, and we'll see if those numbers stick and if they're true. So that's interesting. And, of course, it's only for people above the age of 55. But now the original, as they say, intellectual godfather of the public option, he's a man by the name of Jacob Hacker. He's a professor at Yale, the one that came up with the public option in the first place, according to a lot of press reports. He says, you know what, this is not such a bad deal because the original goal was, hey, let's open up something like Medicare for more Americans. And if they're opening up Medicare for people 55 to 65, that's a buy-in, where you say, okay, you know what, I'd like to buy the Medicare coverage. Well, and if that works, obviously, logically, you could extend that. So then you allow people under 55 to buy it. If it works, that's not part of this bill right now, but that kind of gives you a public option. So that's an interesting idea. Now, again, in this version, only for people above 55. But it's what we were hoping for with the public option, which is to get the camel's nose under the tent. And conservatives charge that that's what we were trying to do. They're right. That is what we're trying to do, because it's not to undermine the private insurance system. It's to see if a public choice would work better. And if it doesn't, then you squash the camel's nose, kick him out of the tent, and go with private insurance. But if it works, then that's great for everybody. All right,
So currently, people to 55 can buy into a Medicare style of coverage, right? Even though normally it's 65, am I right? Which Medicare would cover.
Here, normally it's 65. You're accepted into Medicare, okay? And so everybody's happy with that. People who are covered by Medicare are roughly happy with how the service they're getting. The private insurance industry is happy, JR, because they're taking their oldest and then eventually, obviously, sickest part of the population and giving it over to the government and say, enjoy, right? And so they lower their costs. Now, what they're saying, this is different. Between 55 and 65, you could buy into it. Do you see what I'm saying? That's the difference.
Yes. So now people 55 to 65 can buy into it, but they're not like, it's not the same type of thing. They can buy into it. So if you're under 55 and you still don't have a coverage, it's still getting the middle finger. It's just, wait, if this works, maybe eventually another 15 years. Maybe by the time that you are 55, we'll work it out for when it could have worked for you 15 years ago.
That's about right. Okay, it's about right. Now, the thing is, we had Jonathan Alter on the program yesterday. He wrote the, I don't want to say definitive book on FDR. That's too strong. But a book that a lot of people say is very, very good on FDR. Obama read it, et cetera, et cetera. And he said that, look, sometimes these things go, take a while. Now, but sometimes they're also quicker than you expect. But and then we broke down whether these times are the same times as Roosevelt's, because in Roosevelt, what they did, JR, is they started with a weaker form of Social Security, and then they amended it and amended it as the years went on, not just immediately, but as the years went on, they would come back to it a couple of years later, and it would make it better and better. Now, look, if that's what ultimately happens in this case, it sucks that it takes that long, but it's already taken 40 some odd years, and we haven't done a damn thing by getting people guaranteed coverage, so I'll take it, okay? I'm not a idealist. I'm not a guy who's looking for perfection. I just want something that might work. Right? And I love how we keep begging for things that are just so minimal. Can we please at least try something that might work? Is that too much to ask for?